Get comfortable doing this one. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. Comfort feels safe. Comfort feels familiar. Comfort feels like home. But here's the truth no one likes to say out loud. Comfort is also the slowest form of self-destruction. Because while you're protecting yourself from discomfort, you're also protecting yourself from growth. Think about it. The greatest changes in your life, the times you became stronger, braver, more resilient, did they come from comfort? Or did they come from the moments that shook you, stretched you, and scared you? Every breakthrough you've ever had was born in a space where you weren't sure you could make it. Discomfort is the signal that you're entering new territory. It's the body's way of saying, this is different, this is unknown. And yes, unknown is scary, but it's also where your potential is hiding. When you step into discomfort, you step into possibility. Look at the gym. The moment your muscles start shaking isn't the moment to stop, it's the moment you're building strength. Without that burn, your body never grows. The same principle applies to life. When your voice trembles in a conversation, that's not weakness, that's courage being born. When your heart pounds before stepping on stage, that's not fear. That's growth trying to break through. Most people tap out the moment discomfort shows up. They retreat to the familiar, to the easy, to the safe. But the people you admire, the ones who inspire you, they learned something you haven't yet. They learned to stay. They learned to breathe through the discomfort, to sit in it long enough to let it shape them. And because of that, they grew into something greater. Discomfort is the tuition you pay for strength. And strength is never cheap. You can't wish your way into it. You can't shortcut it. You have to earn it, moment by uncomfortable moment. But here's the good news. Discomfort doesn't last forever. Think about the first time you tried something new. Maybe it was driving a car, learning a skill, speaking in public. At first, it felt overwhelming. Every move felt foreign. Every mistake felt massive. But over time, what was once uncomfortable became second nature. The same happens in every area of life. Discomfort is temporary, but the growth it gives you is permanent. The trick is this: stop treating discomfort as a stop sign. Start treating it as a green light. The presence of discomfort isn't a warning you're on the wrong path, it's confirmation that you're on the right one. Because the things that scare you, the things that challenge you, the things that stretch you, they're the very things that shape you. Let me be real with you. If you only chase what feels good, you'll miss what feels worth it. The easy road will keep you safe, but it will also keep you small. The hard road, that's where you discover what you're truly capable of. So, how do you get comfortable being uncomfortable? You practice. You lean into small discomforts daily, saying no when it's easier to say yes, speaking up when silence feels safer, trying something new when failure feels possible. Every time you step into discomfort, you expand your capacity. And one day, the things that once terrified you will feel ordinary. Getting comfortable with discomfort doesn't mean you stop feeling fear. It means you stop letting fear decide. It means you walk into the unknown with shaking hands and a steady heart. It means you stop waiting for courage to show up and realize that courage is built in the act of showing up. Here's the truth. Life isn't about avoiding discomfort. Life is about using it. Let discomfort be your compass. Let it point you toward the areas where growth is waiting, and when you feel it, don't run, don't retreat, don't back down, stay, breathe, lean in, because discomfort isn't your enemy, it's your doorway. If you want a stronger body, you lift heavier weights. If you want a stronger mind, you face bigger challenges. If you want a stronger spirit, you step into greater uncertainty. All of it requires one thing: getting comfortable being uncomfortable. And once you do, you'll realize something powerful. The things that once scared you no longer control you. You do, too. Get comfortable saying no. There's a word most of us avoid because it feels heavy, awkward, even risky. That word is no. We treat no like it's rejection, like it's selfish, like it makes us less likable or less kind. So what do? We say yes to everything. We say yes to every favor, every request, every demand. Until our schedule is packed, our energy is drained, and our joy is gone. But here's the truth. No is not selfish. No is stewardship. It's how you guard your time, your energy, your values. And if you don't get comfortable saying no, You'll live your whole life controlled by the expectations of other people. Think about it. Every time you say yes to something you don't actually want or need to do, you're saying no to something else, usually the things that matter most to you. That project you've been putting off. That workout you never make time for. That moment of rest your body craves. You trade them away for someone else's urgency because you're afraid of saying one simple word. But here's the thing, boundaries aren't walls. They're gates. They don't shut everyone out. They simply decide what gets in. And the word no is how you control that gate. Without it, everyone gets access. With it, you decide what deserves your time and what doesn't. The problem is, most of us confuse no with rejection. We think saying no means rejecting the person, but in reality, saying no is often the most respectful thing you can do for yourself and for them. Because when you say yes out of guilt, resentment builds. Resentment poisons relationships far faster than honesty ever could. Think about the people you trust most. Do you trust them because they always told you what you wanted to hear? Or do you trust them because they were honest, even when it wasn't easy? No builds trust, because no proves your yes actually means something. Now, saying no doesn't mean you become cold, rude, or dismissive. It means you answer from truth instead of fear. You don't owe anyone an explanation longer than a sentence. You don't have to justify your peace. A simple no, I can't commit to that right now, is enough. And yes, it's uncomfortable at first. The first few times you say no, your stomach will tighten, your heart will race, your mind will overthink. But discomfort is the price of freedom. And once you practice, that discomfort fades and you realize something. You never lost their respect. You gained your own. Here's the paradox. When you get comfortable saying no, your yes becomes more valuable. People know if you said yes, it's because you mean it. It's because you have the capacity, the desire, the alignment. Your yes carries weight. Your yes has integrity. Saying no is also an act of leadership. Leaders don't chase every opportunity. They filter, they prioritize, they guard the mission and the vision. In the same way, you can't lead your own life if you're always handing control to anyone who asks for your time. And let's talk about guilt for a second. Guilt will whisper, if you say no, they'll be disappointed. If you say no, they'll think less of you. But here's the reality. Disappointment is temporary. Burnout is permanent. You can recover from someone else's momentary frustration. You can't recover from a life lived out of alignment. Here's the hard truth. Not everyone will like your no. But that's okay, because the goal of your life isn't to be liked. It's to live a life worth living. And you cannot do that if you're enslaved to everyone else's requests. So, how do you practice? Start small. The next time someone asks you to do something that doesn't align with your priorities, pause. Don't rush to fill the silence with a yes. Breathe. Then simply say, no, I can't. That's it. No novel, length excuse, no apology, just the truth. The more you do this, the more you'll notice something powerful. You gain clarity. You gain peace. You gain time back. And with that time, you can pour into the things that matter most. Your health, your relationships, your dreams, your calling. Here's the bottom line. Every no you give to something unimportant is a yes to something essential. Every no to distraction is a yes to focus. Every no to pressure is a yes to peace. So don't be afraid of no. Get comfortable saying it, because the truth is you're not rejecting people. You're respecting yourself. And when you respect yourself, you show up better for everyone else anyway. No is not weakness. It's not selfishness. It's strength. And if you want to build a life of meaning, a life of freedom, a life of purpose, you're going to have to get comfortable saying it. 3. Get comfortable failing failure. It's a word most people avoid like the plague. We dress it up with softer terms, we hide it behind excuses, or we pretend it never happened. But here's the truth. Failure isn't the enemy. Failure is the evidence that you tried. Failure is the receipt that says, I was brave enough to step out. The problem is, somewhere along the way, we were taught to fear failure. In school, it was red ink on the paper. At work, it was a bad review. In relationships, it was rejection. And because of those moments, we built a false belief that failure is final, that failing means you're not good enough, that failing means you're done. But let me tell you something different. Failure isn't final, it's feedback. Every stumble you take is pointing you toward a better way. Every door that closes is guiding you to the one that's actually yours. Every mistake you make is teaching you something you couldn't have learned any other way. Think about every person you admire, the entrepreneurs, the leaders, the athletes, the creators. Do you think they got there without failure? No. What separates them isn't that they avoided failure, it's that they kept moving through it. They didn't stop when it got hard. They didn't let failure define them. They let it refine them. Let's make it practical. Imagine a toddler learning to walk. They fall, stumble, crash into things, cry, and then get back up. No parent looks at their child and says, well, you fell 3 times. You're clearly not cut out for walking. Of course not. Falling is part of walking. Failure is part of progress. The same applies to your dreams. You don't fail because you're weak. You fail because you're learning, and learning takes repetition. Learning takes mistakes. Learning takes trying, falling, adjusting, and trying again. Here's the danger of avoiding failure. You also avoid success, because if you're too scared to try, you'll never know what could have been. Playing it safe feels secure, but it robs you of growth. You can't win the game if you never step onto the field. So how do you get comfortable failing? You reframe it. You stop labeling it as the end and start labeling it as training. When something doesn't work, instead of saying, I failed, say, I learned what doesn't work. That shift changes everything. Failure becomes less of a burden and more of a teacher. Think about Thomas Edison. It took him over 1,000 tries to invent the light bulb. When asked about his failures, he said, I didn't fail 1,000 times. I discovered 1,000 ways that don't work. That mindset is what separates the defeated from the determined. And here's the beauty. Failure builds resilience. The first time you fall, it hurts. But the second time, you realize you survived. The third time, you start to laugh at it. After enough times, failure stops being terrifying and starts being normal. And once failure doesn't scare you, you become unstoppable. But there's another layer to this. Failure humbles us. It strips away ego and reminds us that we're human, and humility is powerful. It keeps us teachable, open, and grounded. The person who thinks they can't fail stops growing. The person who knows failure is possible keeps learning. Now, I know what you're thinking. What if I fail and people see me? Listen, people are already watching. And here's the truth. Most aren't thinking about you nearly as much as you think they are. But the ones who are, they'll respect you far more for trying and failing than for never trying at all, because courage is contagious. Failure is not the opposite of success. Failure is the path to success. Every setback is a setup. Every ending is a beginning. And every scar you carry is proof that you were strong enough to fight. So don't hide from failure. Don't run from it. Don't cover it up. Step into it. Embrace it. Let it shape you, because failure is not where your story ends. It's where your story starts to get interesting. Here's the bottom line. Failure isn't a sign you're weak. It's a sign you're in the arena. It means you're out there, taking risks, chasing dreams, fighting battles, and that's something most people will never do. So get comfortable failing, because the more you fail, the more you grow, and the more you grow, the closer you get to the life you were meant to live. 4. Get comfortable having hard conversations. Just saying those words makes your chest tighten a little, doesn't it? Nobody wakes up excited to dive into conflict, to address tension, or to bring up uncomfortable truth. But here's the reality. Avoiding hard conversations doesn't save relationships. It slowly kills them. Avoidance feels easier in the short term, but it costs you trust, respect, and progress in the long term. Think about it. Every relationship you value, whether with your spouse, your kids, your friends, your boss, thrives on honesty, and honesty is not always soft. Sometimes honesty is sharp, sometimes honesty is awkward. Sometimes honesty stings, but without it, relationships become shallow. Without it, misunderstandings pile up like bricks until you can't see each other anymore. Conflict avoided is growth delayed. That's the truth most people don't want to hear. If you avoid every hard conversation, you're not keeping the peace. You're just burying problems alive, and buried problems don't die. They grow roots, they spread, and one day they explode in ways far worse than if you had simply addressed them early on. So why do we avoid hard conversations? Because we fear rejection. We fear being misunderstood. We fear making things worse. But the irony is, by running from the conversation, we're often guaranteeing those exact outcomes. Silence doesn't heal wounds, it deepens them. Getting comfortable with hard conversations starts with reframing how you see them. A hard conversation isn't about fighting, it's not about winning, it's not about proving who's right and who's wrong. A hard conversation is about understanding. It's about stepping into discomfort so the relationship can step into growth. Here's what most people miss. When you approach hard conversations with honesty and humility, they don't break relationships, they strengthen them. Why? Because when you're willing to speak the truth, even when it's uncomfortable, it shows the other person that you care enough to be real. Think about trust. You don't trust people because they always agree with you. You trust people because you know they'll tell you the truth, even when it's not what you want to hear. That's the foundation of every strong connection. Now, let's be practical. How do you actually have a hard conversation without blowing everything up? Start with listening. Too often, we enter a conversation ready to defend, ready to argue, ready to fire back. But listening first disarms the tension. It tells the other person, I care about understanding you more than proving my point. Then, speak with clarity, not cruelty. There's a difference between being honest and being harsh. Honesty focuses on the issue. Harshness attacks the person. If your words tear someone down, they stop hearing you. But if your words are firm, direct, and respectful, even if they sting, they'll land in a way that can be received. And here's the part that makes most people uncomfortable. You can't control how the other person reacts. You can only control how you deliver. Some people will appreciate your honesty, some will push back. Some may even walk away. But remember this, avoiding the conversation guarantees you stay stuck. Having it at least gives the possibility of healing, clarity, and growth. The truth is, most people are desperate for realness. They're tired of surface-level connections. They want depth, they want authenticity. They want people who won't just nod along but will speak truth into their lives. And you can't get there without hard conversations. Yes, they are uncomfortable. Yes, they take courage, but discomfort is where growth happens. Courage is where leadership happens. And if you want stronger relationships, more respect, deeper trust, you have to be willing to step into those moments instead of running from them. Remember this, silence may feel safe, but it's not love. Love is truth spoken with grace. Respect is honesty delivered with humility. Strength is choosing the hard path because it leads to something better. So don't fear hard conversations. Don't bury them. Don't run from them. Step into them with calm, with clarity, and with courage. Because the relationships that matter most to you deserve your honesty more than your comfort. Here's the bottom line. Avoiding hard conversations might keep you comfortable, but it will also keep you disconnected. Having them will stretch you, but it will also set you free. So get comfortable having hard conversations. Because they're not the end of connection, they're the beginning of real connection, and real connection is worth the discomfort every single time. 5. Get comfortable being alone. Silence, solitude, stillness. These are words that make a lot of people uneasy. Because the moment things get quiet, the moment we're left with just ourselves, that's when the noise inside starts to rise. And for most of us, that's the scariest sound of all. We live in a world addicted to distraction. phones buzzing, music playing, screens glowing, notifications pinging. We drown ourselves in noise because it's easier than facing what happens in the quiet. Being alone isn't the problem. Being alone with your thoughts is. But here's the truth. Solitude isn't loneliness. Solitude is clarity. Loneliness is the absence of others. Solitude is the presence of yourself. And if you want peace, purpose, and strength, you need to get comfortable being alone. Why? Because when you're never alone, you never meet yourself. You never discover what you actually think, feel, or want. You only absorb what the world tells you. You scroll through other people's lives, compare yourself, and then wonder why you feel empty. You chase validation, approval, and attention, and it feels good for a moment. But the second it's gone, you're left with silence you don't know how to handle. Here's the secret. The person you spend the most time with in your entire life is you. And if you don't learn to enjoy your own company, no amount of external relationships will ever fill that void. Being comfortable with yourself is the foundation for being truly connected with others. Think about it. Have you ever met someone who can't be alone? They jump from relationship to relationship, from group to group, from one distraction to the next. They're never still. They're never quiet. They're never grounded. And what happens? They lose themselves. They mold to whatever crowd they are in. They chase whatever temporary comfort keeps them from facing the truth inside. But when you learn to sit with yourself, something powerful happens. You start hearing your own thoughts clearly. You notice what energizes you and what drains you. You uncover dreams you buried under busyness. You process pain you've been running from. You gain clarity that no external noise could ever give you. Being alone also builds strength. When you know you can stand on your own 2 feet, you stop depending on the crowd for your identity. You stop begging for approval. You stop fearing rejection because you realize, even if no one else claps for you, you can clap for yourself. Even if no one else understands you, you can still understand yourself. Here's the irony. The more comfortable you get being alone, the healthier your relationships become. Why? Because you no longer use people to fill a void. You no longer cling out of fear. You no longer settle for less than you deserve. Instead, you connect from a place of wholeness, not desperation. That changes everything. So how do you practice? Start small. Put your phone down for an hour. Take a walk without headphones. Sit in a quiet room and journal. At first, it'll feel uncomfortable. Your mind will race. You'll feel restless. That's normal. But if you keep practicing, the restlessness turns into reflection. The racing thoughts slow into clarity. The discomfort transforms into peace. Being alone also helps you recalibrate. Life pulls at you from 1,000 directions: work, family, friends, responsibilities. But in solitude, you can pause and ask, am I living in alignment with who I want to be? That kind of self-check is impossible when you're drowning in constant noise. And let's talk about fear for a second. Many people fear being alone because they believe it means being unwanted or unloved. But being alone isn't a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of your strength. It's saying, I'm enough even by myself. And when you live from that place, you become magnetic, because people are drawn to those who are whole, not those who are desperate. Here's the bottom line. Solitude is not punishment, it's power. Alone is where you recharge. Alone is where you hear your inner voice. Alone is where you stop being influenced by the noise of the world and start being guided by the truth inside. So don't fear being alone. Embrace it. Get comfortable with it. Learn to enjoy your own company because you're the one person you'll never lose. And when you master solitude, you step into every relationship, every challenge, every dream, not from emptiness, but from fullness. Get comfortable being alone, because when you do, you'll realize something life-changing. You were never really missing anything. You were just avoiding the chance to find everything you already had inside you. 6. Get comfortable taking action without permission. Too many dreams die waiting for permission. People spend their lives waiting for the right moment, the right opportunity, the right approval from someone else to tell them it's okay to move. And because of that, they never move at all. We're trained from childhood to ask for permission. Permission to speak, permission to act, permission to try. And while that makes sense in a classroom, it becomes dangerous when we carry it into adulthood. Because the world doesn't hand out permission slips for your dreams, nobody is going to tap you on the shoulder and say, "Now's the time. Go live the life you've been imagining." That's your job. The truth is, if you wait for permission, you'll be waiting forever. Permission is comfortable because it shifts responsibility. If someone else approves and you fail, you can blame them. But if you act on your own, the risk is yours, and that's what scares most people. They'd rather stay safe in hesitation than risk stepping into ownership. But here's the problem. Hesitation robs you of momentum. It keeps you stuck in what if instead of moving into what's next. And the longer you wait, the heavier the waiting becomes. Opportunities fade, confidence shrinks, regret grows, all because you were waiting for a green light that was already in your control. Getting comfortable taking action without permission means trusting yourself. It means realizing you are capable of deciding, capable of trying, capable of moving, even if no one else claps for you, even if no one else understands. Because clarity doesn't come before action. Clarity comes because of action. You don't figure it all out in advance. You figure it out as you go. Think about it. The first step is always the hardest, not because it's complicated, but because it's lonely. The first step is the one where nobody else sees what you see. The first step is the one where people might doubt you, question you, even laugh at you. But the first step is also the most important, because without it, there's no second step, no progress, no change. Look at every innovator, every leader, every creator you admire. None of them were waiting for permission. They saw a gap, they felt a fire inside, and they moved. Did they make mistakes? Absolutely. Did they face criticism? Of course. But they built something out of courage that could never have been built out of hesitation. Here's the secret: action builds confidence. We think it's the other way around. We think we need confidence first, then we'll act. But confidence doesn't show up before the step. It shows up because of the step. The more you move, the more you trust yourself. The more you trust yourself, the less you need permission from anyone else. Now, let's be clear. Taking action without permission doesn't mean being reckless. It doesn't mean ignoring wisdom, feedback, or planning. What it means is refusing to let fear of disapproval or waiting for a perfect moment hold you hostage. It means giving yourself permission to start before you feel ready. And yes, it will feel uncomfortable. People may not understand. Some may even criticize. But here's the thing. The people who laugh at you for starting are usually the ones too afraid to start themselves. And the people who matter most, they'll respect you for having the courage to move. So how do you practice this? Start small. Instead of waiting for someone to validate your idea, test it yourself. Instead of waiting for a friend to join you at the gym, go alone. Instead of waiting for the perfect day to write that book, write 1 page today. Action doesn't have to be massive. It just has to be yours. Here's the bottom line. Life is too short to live on hold. If you're waiting for someone else's approval, you'll never fully live your own life. No one else can give you permission to be who you are meant to be. That's a decision only you can make. So stop waiting, stop asking, stop holding back, start moving. Because once you get comfortable taking action without permission, you'll realize something powerful. You didn't need it in the first place. The only permission you ever needed was your own. Get comfortable doing this. We've walked through 6 areas of life that stretch us, challenge us, and ultimately shape us. 6 things most people avoid because they're uncomfortable. But if you've been listening closely, you've noticed the theme. The very things that feel uncomfortable are the very things that unlock who we're meant to become. Getting comfortable being uncomfortable is where growth begins. It's where we stop shrinking back and start leaning forward, because comfort never made anyone stronger, but discomfort always does. Getting comfortable saying no is where freedom begins. It's how you protect your time, your peace, and your purpose. Every no you give to what doesn't matter is really a yes to what does. Getting comfortable failing is where courage begins, because failure isn't the end, it's the beginning. It's not proof of weakness. It's proof you tried. And the only people who never fail are the ones who never attempt anything worth doing. Getting comfortable having hard conversations is where connection begins. Real trust, real respect, real love. They don't grow in silence. They grow in honesty, and honesty isn't always easy, but it's always worth it. Getting comfortable being alone is where clarity begins. It's where you stop chasing validation and start discovering yourself. Because the most important relationship you'll ever have is the one you build with yourself. And finally, getting comfortable taking action without permission is where freedom begins. It's how you stop waiting and start living. Because life isn't about getting approval. It's about giving yourself permission to move. Even when it's scary, even when it's lonely, even when it's imperfect. So here's the bottom line: everything you want, growth, freedom, courage, connection, clarity, and purpose is on the other side of discomfort. That's why you can't keep running from it. You have to lean into it. You have to embrace it. You have to get comfortable doing the very things that make you uncomfortable. Because one day you'll look back at the risks you took, the conversations you had, the boundaries you built, the failures you faced, the moments of solitude you embraced, and the actions you dared to take. And you'll realize those weren't just uncomfortable moments. They were the moments that built you, and that's the challenge I leave with you today. Don't settle for a life of comfort. Step into a life of courage. Get comfortable doing the things most people avoid. Because on the other side of those things is the life you've been searching for all along.